from London, our correspondent Bénédicte Pavio. Bénédicte, what's the significance of this draft agreement on the future of relations between the UK and EU?
So we've had the divorce bill, if you want, or the divorce agreement. That seems to be pretty much going to be sealed and delivered on Sunday. The significance of today's agreement about post-Brexit relations is important, but it's not legally binding, and that is crucial. It's also much shorter. So whereas the draft withdrawal agreement is 585 pages long or so, this new today published future relationship proposed by the EU and the UK is actually about 26 pages long. And according to the Prime Minister, both in a statement, a brief statement to the media in 10 Downing Street, outside 10 Downing Street, and now, since 3 o'clock London time, both in a statement to Parliament and answering questions from her own party, but also the opposition, she is underlining why this is, she believes, the right deal for the whole, she underlined that, of the United Kingdom. And of course, she's including the much difficult and debated over question of Northern Ireland in that. Also some very big concerns, I have to say, not just about the backstop to do with Northern Ireland, but also, for example, fishing rights in Scotland, which the Scottish National Party are not happy at all and say are not protected. Of course, this is denied by the Prime Minister. And what we're witnessing is this Prime Minister, after her meeting and dash to Brussels yesterday with the EU Commission President Jean-Claude Juncker, and actually unplanned and unscheduled, now going back on Saturday before that crunch summit with the other 27 on Sunday, where both that divorce agreement and today's declaration are due to be signed off. There is this whole exercise of her trying to sell it both to her party, and we're seeing how difficult that is, and particularly the hard Brexiteers within her party, including her former Brexit secretary, who only resigned last week, Dominic Raab, but also the opposition. And the Labour Party say this is the worst of all worlds, that it completely lacks clarity, and wonders what the Prime Minister and her government have been doing for 2 years. So not looking good as far as the sale exercise is going for the Prime Minister, and a possible approval in the future by this Parliament.
That's the thing, even if everything is signed off on Sunday, getting MPs at home, and like you said, some even in her own party, to back the withdrawal deal is far from a given.
Absolutely. The maths don't seem to be there, whichever way one looks at it. Why? If we do the maths, she has a minority government that gets her votes, the legislation through Parliament, not just Brexit, but other legislation, thanks to the small Northern Ireland party of the Democratic Unionist Party. They are not minded at all to vote for the deal as it stands. They've made that very clear, although they haven't gone as far as publicly stating that they are not cooperating in what is called here the confidence and supply government. So the Conservatives plus those extra 10 votes that tip this government into a majority. As for the opposition, I was alluding it to in my first answer, the Labour Party seems very clear that it will not vote for this deal. Indeed, Hilary Benn, the man who heads the parliamentary committee, the Brexit committee in the House of Commons, he says that this is also a very bad deal. It's trying to please everybody. And will it really take for that meaningful vote in December to be defeated, for her to understand that different arrangements need to be made, particularly over the backstop on the whole question of Northern Ireland? If you add to that the Scottish National Party, who are very concerned, as I mentioned, about fishing rights and other aspects, so won't seem minded to vote for it either, it would really be relying on some Labour rebels, and even then it doesn't pass, it wouldn't get through. So really a Prime Minister embattled within her own cabinet still, no further resignations. Let's remember that a week ago we were talking about, would she survive, would she be toppled, would there be a no confidence vote? That has died down. But what hasn't died down are the concerns from both people who are against the deal, who feel that it's remaining too close to the EU. That is the main concern. And yet this Prime Minister keeps on saying, no, no, we're out of the ECJ, the European Court of Justice. We will be a sovereign state, as will indeed the entity of the EU. So a lot of battling, a lot of selling, a lot of compromise, I still think, to come. And of course, still hovering in the background, concerns from the Spanish government over Gibraltar. So far from done. We've witnessed many twists and turns. We will, between now and Sunday, will do as well, let alone before that meaningful vote, if it comes in the first or second week of December.
All right, Bénédicte, thank you very much indeed. Bénédicte Pavio in London.